Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh, yeah. Hello there and welcome to you. Good of you to join us being me and my sister Susan. Hi, Suze. Uh-oh. Okay, she ain't there. Well, let's see if I actually reminded her last night. She loses track of what day it is, so we'll see. So
I'm sorry. I was reading this story. I have tears in my eyes, and I went,
what stories?
There's all these stolen babies from Chile that are finding out that the mothers were told their babies died, and now they're in their, 30s, 40s, and 50s and figuring out that they were stolen from their parents and figuring out who their parents are. It's an awful story, but anyway.
See, I see a story like that, and I skip it. I mean, if you can tell just going in, this is a story that's going to make me cry. Why would you? That I can do nothing about. Oh,
this guy found his family. All right.
Well, hey, Milton just wrote me and said that today would have been Dorothy Parker's 130th birthday. Well, that wasn't going to happen. And a quote of hers: "Time may be a great healer, but it's a lousy beautician."
Well, who was it? It was Charlize Theron, or however you say her name, that's getting angry at people for accusing her having a bad facelift. And her quote is, "Bitch, it's called aging."
Ah, there you go. Now, where did I just... No, well...
There's a lot of people now that are deciding to go the route that you and I did, which is...
I don't think that's true, Susan. I think everyone I'm around, maybe I'm just hanging out with people who do it, but they not everybody, but a whole bunch of them, that's what they do.
Well, I'm not going to say I don't know people that do it. I do, but,
Yeah, sure you do. And, yeah. And it's such an expense, and it's...
Well, and it hurts. First of all, no one's sticking needles anywhere near my nose or my eyes. Honest to Pete. That hurts.
And then you get a frozen face, and it happens sort of slowly if you keep doing it. And some women I know have been doing it. I guess men are doing it too.
Oh, yeah, men are doing it too.
The first time a 30-year-old sees a wrinkle, and they
doing
run to get it filled.
Yeah, I'm so nuts. I liked my wrinkles, and when my hands started to get old, they just reminded me of my grandmother's hands, which I always thought were so beautiful.
Well,
although I was with two of my grandchildren this weekend, and I think I let loose with a rather lighthearted and high-pitched laugh. And he turned around my 9-year-old turns around and looks at me and goes, "You sounded so young."
Oh, I thought he was going to say, "You're cackling like a witch."
No, I wasn't. I sounded young.
Okay.
and then just to drive home the point, not 2 hours later, I was making a noise as I got out of a chair, and I laughed at his 5-year-old sister, and I said, "Well, that's what happens, and she goes, "Well, you're old."
Well, sure. I mean, to her, you're ancient.
Well, I am. But, yeah. I mean, I'm sitting right next to my 101-year-old mother, so that should put some perspective. Maybe probably think we're the same age.
No, I don't think that's true. But Hey, did you happen to see the picture of the? And I for my audience, forgive me because I talked about this yesterday. Did you happen to see the picture of the woman whose birthday was being celebrated?
In bed, yes. She was 114.
Yeah, and her 94-year-old daughter was sitting by her side.
Right. And the 68-year-old granddaughter made the party.
Yeah. So you did see it, though.
Yeah.
But can you imagine being 94?
No, she looked good. I mean, clearly she's bedridden, but she looked good.
But you're 94 and you live with your mom. Oh my God. Anyway,
well, I'm 72 and I'm living with mine.
Well, that's not 94. It doesn't even, that doesn't
compute. I know.
No, it doesn't. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, I don't get I did remember though, what I wanted to tell you is while I, decry all these people who, get their skin peeled off, do you guys know what women do? When you see a woman who doesn't look her age, her skin is just gorgeous. She has literally had that skin chemically, her real skin, peeled off so that new skin.
To reveal the new skin like a baby's bottom.
Yeah, but I mean,
never mind the scars and the redness that go into that. And then there's this old, well, she's older than me, blonde ex-U.S. prosecutor that's frequently a talking head on TV. And she's done so much work to her eyes that they blink at different rates. And it is she's like a cuckoo clock, with one eye that goes down lower and slower than the other.
Wait a minute. You can't say this and not name names. Can you think of her name?
I can't think of her name.
Oh, okay.
I would tell, I'm not trying to protect the innocent, for crying out loud. I can't think of her name. But I will tell you that every time I see her, I go, oh my God, and it didn't go away.
Well, I don't know. Whatever. Listen, people can do what people they're going to do. What they do. They're going to do, and that's that. But think of the money too. Oh
I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, long ago I stopped wearing contact lenses, not because I liked the way I looked in glasses, but because my eyes were always bright red, and I thought this looks better. So, I put glasses on. I just don't. I think a lot of us think what looks better doesn't, is my point. And I think that naturally aging women whose faces get to show the stories of their life are far more interesting than blank slates. And to the men that are doing this, who already are given a pass and are considered to get better looking as you get older, cut it out.
Well, it is interesting because I often do think men get better looking.
They do often.
But that's also a social construct that we see them as better looking and women as less good looking when it's the same kind of stuff. It's that we think the men look better because their faces have a character to them and and the same is happening to a woman's face as she goes. But we don't want women to
We don't want women to have character. That would give them actual gravitas.
Yeah, we want them to, be babes. So it's beyond belief. Anyway, all right. How did we even get? It doesn't matter.
I don't know, but did you notice that now Helen Mirren is playing "Gold in My Ear"? All hell's gonna break loose.
Yeah, just fuck that. Listen, let's wait. We'll get into that later. Actually. I want to get into that later. I have a public service announcement that if you're hearing lots of helicopters over your head in Pittsburgh, there is some kind of training exercise going on. I mean, they're military, they're Chinooks. Some just went over my house, and just telling you because some people can get upset. you're under attack or something.
Before MAGA thinks that Biden sent in the Air Force or something. Yeah, right.
Oh, God. Speaking of, conspiracy theories. And this is what happens in Elon Musk's Twitter.
X.
I was treated to it was a picture. It sort of stopped me as I was scrolling. It's a really lovely picture of Michelle and Barack Obama, looking happy and in some, lovely tropical like setting. And it said, I'm going to try to find it. It said, well, I can't find it. It accused them. It said their somehow palatial estate in Hawaii was was spared from the fires.
Oh, yeah, and Jews don't get COVID, yeah.
Right, out of all the destruction, not a single blade of grass in the Obama estate was burned. It's not on Maui.
Well, they're technically correct. But by the way, that did happen to homes. That one home would, there's a picture of it, one home that survived in the middle of nothingness. And it was mostly due to the fact that it was newly constructed and it had been cleared. There wasn't burnable stuff around.
Well, I was thinking of, the nursery, the kid story, the Three Little Pigs.
Right. And the materials make all the difference. It was a tile roof.
Well, and if your house is made of wood, I mean, it's gone. And so a lot of the structures you see are, not made of wood, obviously. So awful. I'm just looking because Milt sent me that thing about Dorothy Parker. And he also sent me this, which I had seen, and it is mind-blowing. But the recent polling in, I think the polling's happening mostly in Iowa, isn't it now? But among registered Republicans, 71% trust, I'm sure you've heard this.
Yes.
Trust Donald Trump. Among registered Republicans, 71% trust Donald Trump more than they trust their friends and family, more than they trust their, beloved conservative media figures, and more than they trust their religious leaders. And the religious leaders were at the bottom. They were 42%. Trump got 71% in terms of who do you know is telling you the truth. 71%. I mean, that, and I've seen a lot of reaction to it, and people, well, that's a cult. Then that's a cult. He's a serial liar. Anyone who has 2 operating brain cells left. No, he's a serial liar. And they trust him more than their parents, their children, their friends. It's just beyond belief.
Well, it's an addiction. And every time I hear these 71% of registered Republicans, I would so like to have the information at my fingertips. Exactly how many, what is the percentage of registered Republicans in the United States? Well, I had a
You're saying one. It's not a huge
number.
Yeah. They're a minority party. Tell that to the people who live in one of the
But if one of the ways that disinformation spreads is by removing context. And if you want to make something sound worse than it is, make the number seem bigger than it is.
Well, but that's still a legitimate. I mean,
I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm just saying I think context is important.
Yeah, it is.
I think context is important. That's all I'm saying.
Of course it is, but context takes time, and we're in a hurry. Okay, you can't fit context on a bumper sticker. Jesus, get with the program. You want to be all wrinkled, be wrinkled, but get with the program. Oh, God.
I know. It's just.
Speaking of the religious leaders getting little respect among these Trumpers, Russell Moore, he used to head the Southern Baptist convention. Okay.
They're getting what they deserve.
Well, he used to head it, and now that's hardly known as a progressive outfit, right?
Right.
Yeah. And he started he's no longer the head because he actually
has some Christian values.
Yeah, he did sort of believe because he'd been all his life teaching what Jesus was preaching. He had, anyway, here's what he has been quoted as saying. He has had multiple pastors come to him and told him that they are under attack from their congregations because the congregants object to them teaching things like the Sermon on the Mount, as it says, love your enemies. And the pastors have told him that they've been told that's a liberal talking point. And it doesn't work anymore. Those are the things that they're getting from their Congress.
Yep.
Well.
Throw out all that Jesus stuff. They actually would be far more comfortable with the Old Testament God.
Yeah, that is true. They want Rambo Jesus.
And that's the Hebrew God.
Yeah, that is. The Hebrew God is a scary dude.
Scary dude.
Yeah. Really scary.
He smites you.
Unforgiving.
He turns you to pillars of salt. He drowns the whole effing world. I mean, this guy is not to be effed with.
He needs an anger management course, the Old Testament God. He is scary as effing.
And he's vengeful. After all that Moses did for him, he wouldn't let him into the...
Yeah, he's all these horrible things. It's a wonder. I mean, that's why Jesus is such a great sell. He's gentle. The Old Testament God, man. So watch. They should all convert to Judaism.
That's my favorite weapon. That's how I got on top of the anti-Semitic broad at a dinner party years ago who did two things to piss me off immediately. She said that, just one thing to piss me off immediately. She said we looked alike. And in my experience, this has never been a compliment in my own eyes. And
when she said, wait. When she said we look alike, she's saying what? Jews look alike?
No. Like we were at a dinner party, and she was just saying, she says, I think we look so much alike. And I'm looking at this very round woman with, it's just.
You didn't like the way she looked, so you.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have picked that to be my doppelganger.
No.
Anyway, and then during the course of the meal, she happened to say piously that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust because it was God's will. And I thought that my husband was going to either stroke out or kill somebody. And I'm patting him on the leg. And I said, I got this. And he's going, what? Just shush. And I bring that. I'm thinking. And I said, Mary Ellen, you told me you were adopted before dinner, right? And she said, right. I said, I do think we look alike. I've been staring at you and looking at you. Do you think you're Jewish?
And that took her down because
it did. Oh boy, did it! Because now she could have been one of the 6 million that God willed.
Jeez, God Almighty. Okay.
Well, the Lord
gives it and the Lord
taketh away. Yeah, I'm sort of the Old Testament kind of a gal.
Yeah. Well, God, dang it. Jeez.
Well, my husband's neck stopped throbbing. It worked great.
Well, that's good. Anyway, I've got we're going to be all over the place today. I mean, we already have been, but I'm just warning everybody that I have no. There's what I got here is like a little of this and a little of that, and things I'm sidestepping, things to avoid. But we'll. This is from yesterday too, because somebody emailed me. And Susan, I was wondering, why is it that some countries, well, it started because, remember back in the day, you used to say the Ukraine?
Yeah, now it's Ukraine.
Yeah, why?
Because then it was a part of a greater, it was like a satellite. Union. It was part of this, it was a Soviet socialist state.
Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a socialist state. So it was the Ukraine.
Yeah, and when
but wait. We
don't say the New York. Yeah, I know.
No, we didn't say the, even for that. But yes. And then I started to think, okay, so we all got that message and we say Ukraine now. It took me a little bit, but now it's Ukraine. I would never think of putting the Ukraine in front of it. But there are countries that you do say the. The Netherlands. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Think of another. And why I was just thinking out loud yesterday, and you know what another one is?
The United States. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems that comes in when you're talking about an amalgamation of different territories that have become one, and then it's the.
Not quite, though, because I don't think the Netherlands fits that. Wait a minute.
Not.
So here's
the
writer who wants to be anonymous says, I couldn't help but think about this. Or he said, I thought they were plural. However, you mentioned the Soviet Union, and here's my thought. It is the Soviet Union as well. So all of these include an adjective preceding the word. So it's United States, Soviet Union, and Netherlands. Yeah, well, it's Netherlands. I mean, I guess
sounds like they should be wearing underpants. That's all I have to say.
I know. It sounds like it's talking about well, it must be
the nether region. Yes.
And then I started thinking more about it, and we say the European Union. We say the United Kingdom, but we don't say the England or the Scotland.
All of which are parts of the United Kingdom.
Wait a minute. But we didn't say the East Germany and the West Germany.
Because they weren't united.
No, that's an adjective. They're saying an adjective is what does this, that you put a the in front.
Well, that's clearly not true because New York, then you would say the New York as opposed to the Old York.
We're talking about countries. The People's Republic of China. And if you don't want to say the people, you just say China. You wouldn't say the China. Are we on to something here or not? Huh? Just asking.
I'm fully in the corner of who cares.
The United Emirates. All right. I'll shut up. But, these things pop into one's head, and you try to get to the bottom of it.
The NFL.
Okay. Well, have you ever noticed, like in Britain, they say, when we say we went to the hospital, they don't say that. We went.
No, they say they went to hospital. Right.
So there's another one that doesn't where we put the in and they don't. I don't know. This is nonsense. Who cares? Speaking of, Susan, because we were together when we saw that. When the story broke about that little newspaper in Kansas, it's now.
Yeah.
And I do want to say this, that it's interesting that later conversation about it and reporting shows that it's not that popular. It has a good circulation in its town. The people don't like it. And they don't like it because it's aggressive. Because this guy who now took it over is a real reporter. And his idea is, you go looking for stories. That's right. And he is under attack a lot. And the New York Times did a piece on this, how they went in and started asking around town, well, what do you think of this? And they said he even did some hardening thing, suggesting that kids don't write letters to Santa that are as good as they used to be. That just sounds like he's a curmudgeon a little bit.
Right.
But he responded to this by saying, hey, 2 days before the raid, our front page top story above the whole fold was about a 10-year-old playing music at a local senior center. He said, gee, that's really negative news. So it's just a perception, of course, right, because he hits at people who and things that, in a town. I know that when I happily was the president of a board overseeing a weekly newspaper here. It was the Jewish Chronicle, and that's a paper of long standing serving the Jewish community, obviously. And oh my God, I and some of the other board members thought we were running a newspaper. The powers that be in the Jewish community thought we were running what I suggested was a
PR sheet.
Yeah, that's right. And we were, there was one awful meeting where I was called in front of all the big shots, and they were just ripping me apart limb from limb. It was not a good fit. And eventually my side lost. We lost. We were drummed out. It was, and I must say that the paper as it exists now is okay, but hard hitting is not what it is, but it's okay. And it does, and I guess sometimes that is, if it is a community newspaper in that regard, I don't know what to say. It's hard to be the aggressive, hard-hitting paper, especially in a small venue, because everybody knows everybody, and there's an expectation also that you don't air dirty laundry in public, right? Things should be taken care of outside of the public eye. And it's very...
Okay, well, I'm just going to interrupt to say this is, to sound terribly wonky, but after years of serving on boards of one kind or another myself, that's the purpose and why one has such a thing as a mission statement.
As a board.
As a mission statement.
That's right.
if you're starting with totally separate goals, that ain't going to work. And that's where you were. You each had totally different missions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Beth has said, how about the Congo? There you go. But I think, okay, I think the real name is the People's Republic. I think that's one of those People's Republic. But we do say the Congo. We don't say the China. And she says, and what about the Philippines? There's a good one.
Which are made up of many islands.
Yeah, but...
Is one of them a Philippine?
Oh, my God. Jonathan has sent me... somebody asked, why does the Bronx have a the? We don't say the Manhattan. We don't say the Staten Island. And that's a good one. So here's a response from...
Because it ends in X, which sounds like S, makes it plural, and you want to say the. I'm telling you.
No, well, here's the answer they give. Okay. Dr. Peter Derrick of the Bronx Historical Society says the Bronx has a the because it's named after the Bronx River, which runs through the borough. The Bronx River, in turn, was named after Jonas Bronk, the first European settler in the area. One common misconception is that the borough got its the from people who said they were going up to visit the Bronx on their farm. There's a capital T in the official name of the borough. So it should be the Bronx, it has to be a capital T. Most newspapers prefer a lowercase t. So it sounds like still nobody has a damn idea. I don't know. But there you go. See?
I'm just going to say I was right because the guy it was actually named after, his name was Bronk. And so they pluralized it. Or the apostrophe s'd it.
You know, that's another interesting point, putting an S on things. Because department stores, let's remember those. Was the department store... Okay, let's say some department stores, and I'm staying in New York. Bonwit Teller. But you would say Macy's. Is it Macy's or is it M-A-C-Y? We here in Pittsburgh, it's Kaufman's, and I think the real names often did not have the S, and we, the people, put S's on because we sort of thought of an apostrophe S situation.
Right. No? It was named after the owner, right?
Yeah, the Kaufmans, the Macy. I don't know. Does Macy, if you see the, I'm trying to see the sign, is there an S on that or is it just Macy?
I'm trying, you know what I'm trying to visualize is Prangies.
Or even Bergdorf Goodman's. And I say I was going to Bergdorf Goodman's. That's not the name, no S on
No,
that.
but you're right. It's Bergdorf Goodman. But Saks is Saks.
Yes, there is an S.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, who cares? This is, this is, okay, enough.
Susan, you're not into this stuff. I am. I'm sure, but you're reminding me that there might be many in the audience who think, oh, God, here she goes. Okay. Let's see where I can. Oh, man, this thing. Werner Herzog.
Yes.
You know him.
He's a director.
Yes, he's a German director. Directed a lot of great films or strange films.
Right?
No.
Oh.
No. I think he's very much alive.
Okay.
But what's interesting is he got a book coming out. That's why I know he's alive.
Oh, okay.
And it's like an autobiography. And the New Yorker magazine, in its next, I subscribe to it, and it's not in this current issue. It's the one coming out any second. They have an excerpt in it, and the excerpt is called, and I imagine that the chapter then is "The Mysteries of Pittsburgh."
Oh.
Now, it's sort of mind blowing. It ain't. I'm just telling you, it's on. If you can get to it online, it's online. But it's a fascinating story of Herzog coming to Pittsburgh when he was 21 years old as a scholarship student at Duquesne University. What? Who knew that?
They didn't know that.
Doesn't ever. Well, it's so bizarre. So he says he didn't know Duquesne from a hole in the ground, but he saw that it had cameras and a film studio, and that's what he wanted to do. And I also, he says, chose Pittsburgh because I had the sentimental notion that I'd be in a city with real down-to-earth people. I mean, it was the steel city, and I had worked in a steel factory myself. So on the way, on the airplane to come to Pittsburgh, well, he's not on an airplane, he's on a ship, excuse me. He had entered a contest and won that and got a free Atlantic crossing on the Bremen. And he met a woman on the trip who he ended up marrying. And she was on her way to the University of Wisconsin to get a literature degree. Okay, just saying. It's all sort of odd.
Yes, it is.
Then he gets here, and here's what he said. Pittsburgh turned out to be a bad idea.
I wonder how she felt about Madison anyway.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine. She thought that was a bad idea. Turned out to be a bad idea. For a start, the steel industry was almost dead. The shuttered plants were rusting away. Second, and this is, I am sure, has caused such misery down there at Duquesne, guys. Here's his next sentence. Second, Duquesne University was an intellectually impoverished place. That's not going to go over well.
Well, this was a few years ago.
That's quite a few years ago. He said, I had no idea there were differences among universities. But what he really focused on was that he'd come for film and stuff. And he says the film studio was set up like a TV newsroom with old-fashioned spotlights, and you couldn't take them down. So it was more about getting people to know how to be on TV. It was not what he was expecting. I know exactly. I've been in that studio. It's still pretty much like that. Yeah. He couldn't quit school because he would have lost his visa, and he would have had to leave the U.S. So the things he did while he was here is just mind-blowing. And he ended up living. Can I share some of this with you? Because it's so bizarre, you can't imagine. He says he was living with one of the professors at Duquesne who lived with his mother. She made him eat green Jello, and she he goes on to say, that surfaced many years later in my film, My Son, What Have You Done?, where the protagonist, played by Michael Shannon, is covered in Jell-O by his mother. So he talks a lot about the stuff in his life, how it ends up later in his film, right? And that guy ends up killing his mother.
In real life or in the movie?
In the movie.
Okay.
So he's very unhappily living with these lunatics. And then he takes the lunatics live in Fox Chapel. And he says they lived in a place called Fox Chapel in the hills outside Pittsburgh. The bus would take me 12 miles or so as far as Dorseyville. And from there, I would hike up the road through the woods. And one day it was raining and a car slowed down and a woman in the car with a car full of kids pulled up and said, I can give you a lift. And this is the woman, and that is the family that he ends up writing about, and says that he says, I was searching for truth. I found a family. And the story he tells of this family that picked him up is mind blowing. And they're no longer here. And when he came back to Pittsburgh when there was a film being filmed here, and he was an actor in it. I think he played the villain in a Jack Reacher movie that Tom Cruise was starring in.
Yeah.
It was filmed here. And as soon as he got here, he went back to Fox Chapel, tried to find them, the Franklins. And they weren't there, found out she had died, all of this stuff. He said Fox Chapel had lost its charm. He said there was some new, I don't know. It's a facet. So when he was here, this puts it in the proper chronological thing. He went to a Rolling Stones concert with two of the kids. And it started by saying it was a new British band playing the Civic Arena.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones. Yeah. And then he said, and to imagine that much later in my film Fitzcarraldo, Mick Jagger was in the film, playing the lead, I don't know if you didn't know this, alongside Jason Robards. But then Robards got sick and they had to stop filming. And then he talked Klaus Kinski into doing it. And when you think of Fitzcarraldo, you think of Klaus Kinski. And Jagger had a tour coming up, and his character in the film was so peculiar and strange that he ended up writing Jagger out of it totally. So totally different film because Jason Robards got sick. Just want to say.
Yeah, Lauren Bacall had bad luck in the health of her husbands.
Yeah. Anyway, the Mick Jagger character that we never got to see was based in part on the son of the Fox Chapel family, who used to run stark naked through the house, freaking out his sisters and his grandmother and all these other people. Herzog loved this kid. He was dead too when he came back. He had a dog named Benjamin Franklin. Okay, so anyway, there's that. And boy, at Duquesne, they're miserable about this. Why do Milton, you're something. Milton has sent me something. Why do people add an S to the end of so many words that don't need it? Susan, sorry. See, some of my audience does like this stuff. Somebody freaked out and said, it's Kroger, not Kroger's. It's Nordstrom, not Nordstrom's. It's Aldi, not Aldi's. I put an S on all of them.
But on the other hand, it's Packers, and I frequently, so I don't go to a Packers game. I frequently go to a Packer game.
That's true. We do the opposite.
We do the opposite. So there, I can play this game.
So here are a bunch of ones that don't have S's. Okay, whatever. It's
St. Norbert College.
Yeah, they put an S on that all the time. That's true. I don't know. They don't know. Are we making a plural? Are we making a positive? Sometimes.
No, we're even worse. We're making it a possessive, and we're leaving out the apostrophe.
I don't have time to go through all this, but there you go. I'm not the only one who gets all tangled up wondering about such things. Ugh. Okay. Okay, Susan, you had mentioned Helen Mirren playing Golda Meir.
Right, which I have a hard time seeing, but not really. Helen can act that way.
Yeah, but this is that,
but she doesn't have the nose. She certainly doesn't have the nose.
Well, listen, blackface is verboten, but Jew-face is not. So if a character is black, you have a black actor. If a character is a Jew, you rarely have a Jewish actor, and there's plenty of them. And this is a big to-do among Jews. I think Sarah Silverman is particularly pissed about all of this.
Yeah, I think it's nonsense.
Well, okay, yeah.
Unless Jewish actors want to be purposefully left out of any Christian role. I mean, come on. This is acting. And come on. Why can't Bradley Cooper play Leonard Bernstein?
Why Leonard Bernstein? I'm looking at here. There's a big kerfuffle about Cooper, who stars in and directs this movie about Leonard Bernstein. Bernstein. God damn it. I'm looking at a picture of him playing him. And I'm looking at a picture of...
Yeah, I don't think they got the nose right. They made it too straight.
The nose is ludicrous. So Cooper is wearing this prosthetic nose. And when people saw the trailer and saw the nose for the first time, all hell broke loose. He doesn't look like Leonard Bernstein. He looks like Bradley Cooper with some bizarre nose that in no way looks like. First of all, Bernstein did not have a huge nose, and he didn't have a long, straight nose. And if you're going to do a prosthetic, then do it right.
Yeah, make it look like his nose. That was my only problem. I mean, if his family doesn't care, the Anti-Defamation League doesn't care. I just think there's bigger fish to fry here. And I do, and I think this path where only the exact kind of person can play that kind of person gets it wrong. I mean, this is called acting.
Of course. But I do want to say, if you look at a picture of Leonard Bernstein, I always thought he was gorgeous. He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And in all his pictures, he's gorgeous. And you do not notice some big frigging nose.
No, it's part. He's a handsome man, and that's part of it.
It needs to be a Jew stereotype thing. The classic, any anti-Semitic things with Jews has to have a big nose, and usually it's a hook nose. Cooper's is some bizarro thing that looks like
It's too narrow.
It's straight and it's bizarre.
It's straight and too narrow, and Bernstein had a nice big schnoz on him.
Oh, he had a beautiful nose.
He had a beautiful nose. I mean,
So
I don't know. I just think I'm waiting to hear them have a heart attack because Helen Mirren is playing Golda Meir. I don't hear the same thing. I don't know.
No, yes, you do. Yes, you do. It says here, comedian Sarah Silverman popularized the term Jew face.
God, I hate that word. But Sarah Silverman frequently makes the hair stand on the back of my neck.
That's her too.
You know, so, I mean, and she does it for that reason.
No, now for the film, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was played by Felicity Jones. It is true that, and Silverman is in Bernstein in the movie. She plays his sister. I don't know. You know, the marvelous Mrs. All those people in that, the Jews have been wiped out of. I don't know. I have very different opinions because I disagree that, you know, I agree with Susan that it's acting, for God's sake.
Two things can exist together.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it is odd. I don't know. It says in an interview with Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's a Jew. Jake Gyllenhaal was originally going to probably play Bernstein, and that's a better fit in every way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Steven Spielberg was going to direct, and somehow Spielberg gave it up and handed it over to Cooper.
Well, Cooper wrote the screenplay too.
I don't know. It premieres at the Venice Film Festival next month.
And then it goes straight to Netflix, you know. I mean,
yeah, but I'm going to have trouble watching it because he looks so bizarre. And and Leonard Bernstein was.
Oh, can you remember the hours spent as children watching his Saturday concerts?
Oh my God. And he was so handsome. And that was before I knew that gays existed.
You're right.
That he wouldn't really have been available to me. Yeah.
You fell in love with Richard Chamberlain too, Lynn.
I always fell in love with gays. I mean, well, they're the handsomest men.
Yeah, of course.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's, you know, God playing a little trick on us.
Yeah, God playing a trick with ladies. He makes the most gorgeous men not want them. Yeah. Screw it.
Adam perfected.
So I'm trying to think what I can do here in these remaining minutes.
Because there's 6 of them.
There are 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in 6, I thought this was really an interesting article. And it's something that's been bugging the hell out of me. How, you know, the delivery trucks. Everybody now on my street, 6 times a day, an Amazon, a UPS, a FedEx truck. Because most Americans now, I guess, buy absolutely everything to be delivered directly to their door, right?
Yeah.
It's why, you know,
quickly.
It's what's happened, and I'm against it. But somebody brought this up. there's a political issue that gets raised about how these private companies, these hugely rich private companies, $500 billion in annual sales, billions in profits, Amazon, the largest employer in a lot of states, uses the roadways that you and I pay for and does not in any way compensate us for their partial takeover of our roadways. And I say this because in the city, these trucks double park.
Oh, no, you have to wait for them. You're on a delivery route if you get on a one-way street with cars parked on both sides in Chicago.
No, but it's true. So you have, no. So, I know a lot of people who live in the city and maybe in a mixed-use neighborhood where they live across from, let's say, a little restaurant. And Grubhub and all the others are parking, blocking their driveways or parking halfway on their sidewalks to run in and get their delivery. So this is happening all over the place, where this new economy that we've created really is something's not right. There has to be a way, this guy says, for these companies to compensate us for their partial takeover of the publicly funded roads that make up a large part of their workspace. It's the final part of their whole thing. You call, you get this thing, but in order to make the final step, the delivery, they then are using roads that you and I put there. It is not private. It is public. I'm just saying. There has to be a way. They say there has to be a way to charge these people. The minute you do one of those double parks, there has to be a way to know it, and they have to be charged for blocking a public street. You don't care about this either.
I'd rather get my bra that looked good on my Facebook feed the next day.
And that's why there's no ma and pa stores. That's why we have this monopolistic economy, because none of us can get off our asses, and I'm against it.
I am too. I miss stores. I mean,
well,
you know.
You just said.
I know.
No. Because we don't care. Convenience. And the jobs that are created by these bastards are
not good jobs. Yeah, they're not good jobs.
The delivery jobs, they're crap. Okay, I worked myself up into a headache, and that's it. Yeah, dang it. I'm just saying, if you have a choice and you don't need something immediately, how about keeping some of the brick and mortar stores that used to create neighborhoods and ma and pa's? How about making a point of keeping them alive instead of further enriching Jeff effing Bezos?
Well, just go back to your old habits. We had a reason for a bunch of years to avoid stores. And we aren't doing that anymore. So don't do it anymore. You walk around Chicago and everything's gone, you know, and that only reinforces the bad habit.
Yeah.
There's also very little in the stores that are still there because they can't afford to keep the inventory there.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated problem.
Of course it's a complicated problem. And Yeah. Anyway. Okay. That's it. And as I speak, guess what's happening?
There's a delivery being made to your house.
Not my house. And my neighbors across the street.
Boy, they do everything across the street. And you don't like any of it.
No, that's not true. I mean, they're nice people.
Okay, good.
It's just, they're not into brick and mortar, I'll tell you. Although he owns restaurants where people have to go to. Although I see they get a lot of food delivered too. That is something I do. I do have food delivered. Prepared food.
Yeah, they can pull into your driveway though. They don't have to block the street.
That's true. Okay. I'm done. I'm done squawking. Susan, safe travels. I know you're traveling to, is it 120 degrees where you're going?
No, it happens to be cool, but I'm going to Santa Fe, New Mexico, but it will be raining all 5 days. That's my habit when I'm with these people. I bring the rain. So.
Okay. Well, they need it, I'm sure. So that's
fine. I like rain.
Okay. Have a good time.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye. And bye, guys. I'll try to find things to talk about that are less, I don't know what. I like these silly topics, like all these. I do. It sure beats talking about whose name we did not, as far as I can remember, even mention today. I get a gold star for that. I do. Have a good
one. Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.